About 4 months ago, I made a video on a 3 ETF high income portfolio designed to target a 12% dividend yield. And today I want to review this portfolio because not only am I very pleased with the results, but it's actually beat my expectations. This portfolio has not only managed to keep up with the S&P 500, but has even outperformed it. And this is due to a strategic allocation across 3 ETFs that align with my outlook on the markets moving forward. This approach is based on several key factors, including economic trends, interest rates, and market volatility. So what is this 3 ETF combination, and what is, in my opinion, the best percentage allocation for 2026? Now, I also want to address some concerns that many of you have raised about one of these ETFs, specifically regarding NAV erosion. On top of that, I'll briefly touch on tax implications with these types of high-income ETFs so that everyone has an understanding when it comes to taxation on the different types of dividend income, such as qualified dividends and non-qualified dividends. And this part will be brief, so I will be making a separate video on this topic. And this is where things get really interesting, so make sure you guys stick around till the end because you don't want to miss this. To begin, this portfolio is strategically designed to maximize portfolio income. It isn't meant to maximize growth. But the byproduct of this high income is the ability to minimize portfolio volatility and downside risk extremely well. And the primary metric that is in focus here is a low standard deviation score. Standard deviation simply reflects how much volatility an investment is subject to by showing us how much the returns deviate from its average. So essentially, a lower standard deviation score shows us that an investment's returns are more predictable and suffer less upside and downside fluctuations. And this is especially important for retirees and income investors. The key to this combination is to create a balance that provides very wide exposure to different sectors of the market, from growth to value to fixed income bonds. And the reason I prioritize this level of diversification is that, in my opinion, creating a long-term, consistent, high-yield portfolio that provides income for many years requires incorporating non-correlating assets to help minimize downside risk. This is extremely important. This approach not only reduces potential losses, but also translates to a lower standard deviation, enhancing portfolio stability. And this is a principle that hedge fund billionaire Ray Dalio talks about all the time. Now, the composition of this portfolio is also designed to minimize NAV erosion, and this is one of the most important aspects about high-income investing. And by NAV erosion, I'm referring to the price value of your portfolio that excludes any dividend distributions. The goal is to try and keep this as consistent as possible so that your portfolio doesn't erode over the years. The last thing you want is to see your hard-earned money depreciate over time. So you want to avoid these dividend traps. And there are many high-income ETFs out there that have suffered extreme NAV erosion simply because of their flawed strategy, such as QQQY. And I'll make a separate video on that very soon. So what is this 3 ETF combination, and what is, in my opinion, the best percentage allocation for 2026? Well, the 3 ETFs are JEPQ, JEPI, and TLTW. And these are the JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Income ETF, the JP Morgan Equity Premium Income ETF, and the iShares 20-Year Treasury Bond Buy Right Strategy ETF. In my opinion, these 3 ETFs together provide investors with very diversified exposure to different sectors of the market, as well as provide exceptional growth potential with consistent NAV, and most importantly, a very high average dividend yield of around 12%. When you look at this portfolio's performance since October, you see that it has actually managed to outperform the S&P 500. But most importantly, the combination has a standard deviation score that is 3% lower and a drawdown that is nearly half of the S&P 500. Now, the percentage allocation of this portfolio is a rule that I personally find to be really effective when it comes to balancing portfolio exposure, and that is my 5-3-2 rule. I find that this combination works very well when it comes to balancing different types of ETFs. So I have 50% exposure to JEPQ, 30% exposure to JEPI, and 20% exposure to TLTW. JEPQ is a high-income growth ETF and satisfies the growth portion of this combination. JEPI is a high-income value-oriented ETF and satisfies the value portion of this combination. And TLTW is a high-income ETF that is tied to the bond market. So you can see that you have all 3 sectors of the market in this combination. But the common denominator here is the aspect of the high income. And when you look at total portfolio income in 2025, the 3 ETFs produced just under $12,000 in dividends, which translates to roughly $1,000 per month. And this is based on a $100,000 portfolio. Now, if your portfolio size is larger, let's say at $500,000, This portfolio combination could have potentially generated roughly $5,000 per month in passive dividend income. That translates to approximately $60,000 in annual dividend income. Of course, dividends are subject to change and past performance doesn't guarantee future results. And if you guys want access to these amazing tools along with in-depth fund analysis, market insights, ETF breakdowns, and more, then I highly suggest to sign up with Seeking Alpha. You guys can use my link to get $30 off their annual premium plan. You can also save $160 off their premium and alpha picks bundle. And I personally use these tools together every single day, so I highly suggest you guys take advantage of the sale. Now, I will explain these ETFs and how they work, but before I do that, I want you guys to pay very close attention to the portfolio's price return, or in other words, its net asset value. So on the platform, if we hit Edit Portfolio and go to Settings, we can choose whether we want to reinvest dividends. And in order to get an idea of the price return of this portfolio, you have to select No. And what you find is that the price return has stayed almost completely flat. So you see how well this combination has been able to maintain price performance even though we've seen relatively large fluctuations within the market because of heightened volatility, conflicts in the Middle East, and interest rate expectations. That is why it's so important to diversify and find ETFs that complement one another. So when one suffers more price depreciation, the other is able to combat that. Now, going back to the three ETFs, JEPQ is a covered call ETF on the Nasdaq 100. So the ETF sells 5 to 15% out of the money call options on the Nasdaq 100 index and collects premium income, which is then distributed as a dividend yield. And the fund has a dividend yield of around 10%. It's important to note that the fund is only using 20% of its assets to sell these call options, while the rest is invested in stocks within the Nasdaq 100. But here's what's interesting. JEPQ actually employs a secondary screening strategy where it changes its allocation towards individual stocks, which at times can give it a slight advantage over the QQQ and its high-income peers like QQQI and GPIQ. And you can see that when you look at the total returns of the ETFs side by side over the last 6 months, ever since the market started to exhibit heightened volatility. Now, because of the insane AI momentum, JEPQ has been able to appreciate in value extremely well while also providing a fantastic dividend yield. But most importantly, because of the high income, this ETF is able to minimize the volatility of the Nasdaq 100 by 50%, which is one of the steps helping to lower the volatility and standard deviation of this portfolio. Now, JEPI also uses a covered call strategy, but the ETF holds a unique set of stocks that is not in line with any benchmark index. The fund invests in low volatility and value stocks within the S&P 500. And the amazing part is that the ETF is selling call options on the S&P 500 index. So in a sense, it is selling call options on a set of stocks that are completely different to what it holds. This is what allows the ETF to capitalize on high income, but also exhibit value characteristics with consistent and low volatility price returns. And this is a major factor in helping to achieve the low volatility and low standard deviation score of this portfolio. And just like JEPQ, it is only using 20% of its assets to sell these call options. Now, because it is selling calls on the S&P 500 and not the Nasdaq 100, it will naturally collect less premium income. And that is because the S&P 500 exhibits less volatility. And remember, higher volatility translates to higher option premiums, and this relation is called vega. This is why the ETF has a yield of around 7 to 8%. And finally, we have TLTW. Now, this ETF is a little tricky because in terms of a long-term portfolio, I personally think adjusting its allocation over time is essential. This ETF sells call options on TLT, which is a bond ETF that holds 20-plus year US Treasuries, and these call options are typically about 2% out of the money. Now, bonds traditionally serve as a risk-off hedge and a flight to safety asset when equities come under pressure. And over the last few months, we've actually seen bond ETFs outperform equities and mitigate a lot of the volatility in the market. The reason I like TLTW is because it capitalizes on high option premium income to boost the return potential and dampen the volatility of its underlying holding, which has resulted in stronger total returns since inception and since I created the portfolio. I decided to allocate 20% to the bond sector because of the outlook for interest rates and overall market volatility. But in the long term, adjusting the allocation to this ETF is essential. For example, if we see higher rates for longer, the ETF could face selling pressure. But if we see a stronger shift toward rate cuts, the ETF could benefit significantly since bond prices move inversely to interest rates, Remember, bond prices rise when interest rates fall. Now, this ETF has experienced NAV erosion over the long term because back in 2022, we saw the fastest rate hikes in decades, which caused the bond sector to suffer immensely. On top of that, the fund's very high dividend yield can also eat into its net asset value over time. But what I'm primarily looking for here are the total returns, high yield, and the hedging characteristics. Again, this is not a permanent long-term hold. In my view, this is a tactical allocation that needs to be adjusted over time. Moving on, let's briefly touch on tax implications. Majority of the dividend income that you're getting from this ETF combination is non-qualified, which means that it is taxed as regular income. However, if you hold these in a Roth IRA, then you can avoid taxation altogether. Now, I know that Roth IRAs are not available to everyone. Your modified adjusted gross income must be less than $150,000 as a single individual in order to be able to fully contribute to a Roth IRA. But there's also something called a backdoor Roth IRA, which higher income earners can take advantage of. But maxing out your Roth IRA with these high income ETFs first is best in order to hold on to all of this amazing income. Now, I will be making a separate video on taxes, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And that is all for this one. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Discussions of ETFs, investing strategies, market updates, or specific funds are general, not tailored to your financial situation, and should not be relied upon for decision making. Investing involves significant risks, including total loss of principal, and past performance does not guarantee future results. I am not a registered financial advisor. My content reflects personal research and publicly available information. I may earn affiliate commissions from mentioned products or links disclosed per FTC guidelines, but these do not influence my opinions. Always consult a licensed financial professional and verify information independently. By watching this, you agree I am not liable for any losses or consequences from your actions. International viewers should consult local regulations.